Welcome back, Ram fans. You probably heard the news already. The Rams have signed Davante Adams. Ian and I both posted separate breaking news videos on that already. And just to rehash, in case you missed it, Adams signing a 2-year deal with the Rams, $46 million, $26 million guaranteed. And this is a major shakeup of the NFC West and the Rams wide receiver room. And I just feel like Adams is the type of receiver the Rams have been missing forever. And what a different look this is going to be for Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. You consider that, in the past, we've had guys like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua playing together and guys like DeMarcus Robinson. And now it looks like it's going to be Tutu Atwell, a very electric, fast receiver, Davante Adams, a guy that can do everything, including stretching the field, and Puka Nacua, one of the best in the business. And it's an exciting time to be a Rams fan for sure. And some side notes on that worth mentioning. My special assistant sent this to me. Davante Adams is actually in Japan as all this was going down, and McVay was working with the Les Snead and Davante Adams' agent to get the deal done. So happy they did. Happy it worked out. Welcome back to California, Davante, and we'll be talking more and more about this. And of course, we have our live stream mock draft Monday night. Maybe wide receivers off the board, huh? Maybe a late wide receiver. Certainly not going to be a receiver in the first round at this point, I don't think. But the Rams have a lot of flexibility now. They can go any way they want. Pick the best player on the board, perhaps. And if it happens to be a wide receiver, so be it. And meanwhile, DK Metcalf sent to the Steelers. And man, we're going to have a whole show on what the Seahawks are going to look like next year. Geno Smith gone, Tyler Lockett gone, and now DK Metcalf. This is going to be a different team. Still going to be competitive, but they're not going to be the same Seahawks, I don't think. And I have to say, as excited as I am about the signing, a little bit of sadness too. Got to feel bad for Cooper Kupp watching this all go down. It's like the guy who breaks up with his girlfriend and then sees her the next day walking down the street with a new boyfriend. And that's kind of how Cooper Kupp must feel right now. On the outside looking in, this was his team. He was the guy in that wide receiver room and not traded yet, not released. And the Rams are bringing in Davante Adams. So got to be a little painful for Cooper Kupp. And it is sad. It's quite the bummer that there's no room under the salary cap and in that wide receiver room for Cooper Kupp. But he will always be one of my favorite Rams. So let's celebrate this signing. But got to feel a little bad for Cooper Kupp, right? Now we're going to move on to some other stuff here. And fair warning, I recorded a lot of this before the signing, and I'll try to fix it up here as we move along. But some stuff might be a little bit out of sorts. That's what happens when you record and then news breaks. But I think it'll all work out. Let's move on to some other stuff. Hey, welcome back, Ram fans. Mark from Rams Up here. Another episode of a Rams Up update, March 9th, the day before all heck breaks loose. The legal tampering period begins Monday, and the free agency craziness will begin soon thereafter. And Ian and I will try to keep you up to speed on everything happening as this week progresses. A lot of craziness for sure is going to be happening. Hey, episode 681 on the podcast, and I'm going to get into another uniform number, a player who wore number 81, and there are some good ones. And, in doing these little segments on players, historical Rams players who wore certain uniform numbers, I'm sometimes blown away by the stuff I learn, and today is no exception. Today might be the best example of that. And maybe some of you knew about this, but I did not. I'm going to talk about wide receiver Ron Jesse, wore number 81 for the Rams, and he was originally drafted by the Cowboys, traded to the Lions, 4 years with the Lions, 5 with the Rams, won with the Bills. He finished with 2,386 yards and 15 TDs with the Rams. His best season, 1976, was voted to the Pro Bowl. 34 receptions for 779 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then he retired and went on to become a scout for the Rams and then passed away in 2006. Now, if you're watching this visual on the YouTube channel, you're probably wondering, why do I have an image of the song by Rick Springfield, Jesse's Girl? And this is what I learned, and maybe some of you knew this. I did not. So Rick Springfield wrote this song about a friend's girlfriend who he had I guess we could say he had a crush on her. And the friend's name didn't really, wasn't great for a song title. But this friend happened to be wearing now the sources I found said he was wearing a Ron Jesse t-shirt, probably a jersey, right? A Jesse jersey. Now, this song came out in 1981, and I'm guessing it was a Rams jersey. He was already with the Bills, I think, at that time. But that was the name of the song. He changed it to Jesse's Girl, Ron Jesse, the great Rams wide receiver, and he was a good one. So that's our number 81 this time around, Ron Jesse of our Los Angeles Rams. Now, I got a little cap update, and this is courtesy of Cameron De Silva of Rams Wire. And you know what? Thank goodness for Cameron, because he's always breaking really good information. He might be the best Rams insider, in my opinion, because he digs up facts and data that a lot of the other ones don't, in my opinion. And he pointed out that he did a deep dive into Over the Cap, apparently, and pointed out that Alaric Jackson's cap hit in 2025 is only $7 million. So that is really good news for the Rams, right? It's a $57 million contract, $30 million guaranteed, but only $7 million this year, and it will jump to over 24, almost $25 million in 2026. So maybe kicking the can down the road a little bit gives the Rams some wiggle room this year. And surely it played a factor in the Rams being able to sign Davante Adams. But Alaric Jackson, a very team-friendly contract with regards to the 2025 season anyways. Next year, not so much. And players on the move, Joey Bosa, the defensive end, released by the Chargers. Rumors are he could be headed to a team up with his brother there, Nick Bosa, in San Francisco. That wouldn't be good news for the Rams. Bosa's been banged up a lot over the last few years. 5-time Pro Bowler, though, 2016 Defensive Rookie of the Year, 72 sacks on his career. So, I don't think I'd want to see the Bosa brothers across the line of scrimmage from our Rams offensive line. But, we took care of Nick pretty well last year. Joey over there would make it a little bit more complicated, but I like our offensive line more than I do like the 49ers defensive line at this point. So we'll see what happens there. Evan Engram, the tight end, released by the Jags. He was selected by the Giants 23rd overall in the 2017 draft. So in 8 years, he's just short of 5,000 yards, has 25 TDs. And the Jags also, by the way, traded Christian Kirk to the Texans. So they're making they're in the midst of a big turnover there in Jacksonville, trying to make some big changes, change the culture a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out for the Jags. And then Jonathan Allen, the great defensive lineman, released by the Commanders. He was there for 8 years, only team he's ever played for. And he played in front of Bobby Wagner for a season there. And Bobby Wagner heaping tons of praise on Allen. So Bobby Wagner is showing you love. You're probably a great locker room guy. And Jonathan Allen was just that. He's just a complete defensive tackle. Recorded 2 sacks last year through 6 games before suffering a torn pectoral, and then came back and played in the playoffs. Has 42 career sacks for the Commanders. And he's a guy that I thought the Rams might make a run at. I don't know if he's, that, uh, pure run stopper defensive tackle you're looking for, but hey, Jonathan Allen is a complete football player. He would be a nice addition to this Rams roster. And some other moves. Raquan Davis, 1 year with the Colts, did not go well, had little impact, and he was drafted by the Dolphins, played 3 years there. 6'7", 325-pound defensive lineman, but the Colts did not get the return on their dollar they expected, so they moved on from him. The 49ers have claimed Trey Tomlinson, the former Rams draft pick, and the Bengals have put a franchise tag on T. Higgins. That's a guy that I think we all kind of knew he was going to end up in Cincinnati one way or another, but a lot of teams, a lot of fan bases were kind of drooling over the possibility of adding T. Higgins to the roster. And oh, by the way, the Jags making yet another move, releasing Josh Reynolds, the ex-Ram, and Xavier Worthy, the Chiefs' rookie wide receiver, had a great year there. He was arrested, some type of domestic violence charge, but it has been dropped. So looks like Xavier Worthy has cleared a significant challenge, a messy legal situation. And I'm not going to speculate. I've been on the soapbox a couple of times about that. Don't pass judgment on these guys until you know the facts. And a lot of times we'll never know the facts. Let's just say Xavier Worthy in the clear, not charged with anything. And that's good for him and good for the Chiefs, I suppose. And what else? Myles Garrett is off the market. And DK Metcalf. The Seahawks have traded him to the Steelers for a second-round pick. Big shakeup in Seattle. We'll talk about that a lot more moving forward over the next couple of weeks. Tyler Lockett, Geno Smith, and DK Metcalf, all ex-Seahawks. I don't know. I like their coach there. He's defensive-minded, and we'll see what direction they're headed. But if I was a Seattle fan, I would have to accept the fact this might be complete rebuild mode for the Seahawks. They'll still be competitive. They're going to be a tough out regardless. Still a lot of good players on that roster, especially on defense. A couple of good running backs, and JSN is a great receiver. So not to take them lightly, but times of change in Seattle. And, this Evan Engram availability, I thought I'd take a look at that. Rams tight end room might need some help, and I thought Engram might be a nice addition. So I took a look compared him to Tyler Higbee over the course of their careers. And similar, but, Tyler Higbee has better stats over the course of his career. He's been in the league 1 year longer. They've both missed time here and there, but 361 receptions for 3,668 yards and 24 TDs for Tyler Higbee. Evan Engram with the Giants and then the Jags, 262 catches, about 800 less yards, 28 to 28. That's 2,828 and 16 TDs. Higbee, 6'6", 255. Engram, 6'3", 240. So I'm not sure if he would be a good fit for this Rams offense. Not sure about his blocking ability, but I don't see any advantage to bringing in a tight end with, similar age. But hey, Evan Engram certainly thinks he has it. He had a little bit of a salty going away message for the Jags, more for the Jags leadership than their fans. He obviously still thinks he has it. He's going to find a team that's going to be looking for a good receiving tight end. I don't think it's going to be the Rams, though, but Evan Engram on the open market. I ran a little mock draft the other day just for kicks, and I tried something a little bit different. I traded out of the first round. So Atlanta, they got the Rams number 26 pick, and this is, again, trading with a team that the Rams have connections with. Sean McVay calling up Raheem Morris and his leadership team. So Atlanta gets the Rams 26th pick and the Rams 3rd round pick next year. And the Rams get number 46 this year and the Falcons 2nd round pick next year. And so the reason I wanted to try this is there have been rumors, insinuations from Sean McVay and Les Snead that maybe next year is the year they're going to pack up a bunch of picks and try to move up and get one of these great quarterbacks coming out. So essentially what they do here is they drop into the second round, but they flip picks with the Falcons next year, giving up a third for a second. So they're armed. They're in good position to make a move up at the draft board next year if they did this. And then they traded 3 6-rounders to Jacksonville for a 5th rounder this year. Remember, the Rams have 4 6-round picks after this Jonah Jackson trade. And Jacksonville, another team that they have connections with. Their new GM, the former brainchild of the Rams scouting department. So the Rams get the 5th rounder that they were missing this year. And how did this draft turn out? And by the way, I in past drafts, I've seen the Rams, other teams giving up 2 6-rounders, for example, for a 5th rounder. And it depends on where those picks lie in each given round. But I could not get the draft simulator to accept anything but 3 6-rounders for that 5th rounder of the Jags. And I kind of liked how this draft went. A lot of skill players. Shavon Rivell Jr., the cornerback out of East Carolina, one of the highest rated cornerbacks, was still there in the second round. Very possible. Savion Williams, the wide receiver out of TCU. A lot of Ram fans falling in love with him. And then the speed running back that I have been talking about, Bashul Tutin. And one of these days, I'm pronouncing his first name differently every time, hoping one of them I nail it. But Tutin, the Virginia Tech running back, he's the one that stole the show at the combine there. And then I went defensive line, Jordan Phillips in with the 4th pick, a linebacker, Chris Paul Jr., and again, hitting a need there. And then depth at tackle, Jalen Travis. So the idea here is to basically hit every need, I feel. We got the cornerback, we got the wide receiver, we got the speed running back, we added to the defensive line, we found a new linebacker and offensive tackle depth, which I think is a bigger need than offensive line depth, interior offensive line depth, in my humble opinion. So that's my little draft there. And by the way, make sure you tune in Monday night for our live stream mock draft. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, before we close out here, bringing back, well, it's one of my favorite segments. Not sure how you all feel about it. My Fearsome Four Questions. And if you haven't been around listening to this podcast or YouTube channel much, I give you 4 questions and I have the answer. And a lot of them probably going to turn out wrong, but I'm going to give you my best shot on all of these. My Fearsome Four Questions here. What do we got? Question number 1. Where will Cooper Kupp play in 2025? And this question was posed to me by Kathy from the golf course, and she asked me to share it on the show here, give you my answer. You know what? This is a deal. I think the Rams would prefer to trade Cooper Kupp, not only because they want draft compensation, which is probably very unlikely as well. They might get a 7th rounder while giving up a 7th rounder next year or something silly like that. But they can also dictate where he goes to some degree. Now they're going to work with Cooper Kupp if there is a trade in the works and find a place. He'll be happy. But on the other hand, if they release him, he could end up with a divisional rival. And how sickening, how disheartening would that be? We saw Isaac Bruce in a 49er uniform, Cooper Kupp up north. I don't know if I could stomach that, but I don't think that's going to happen. The Rams will release Cooper Kupp, and my best guess is he could end up with the Chargers. And the only reason I say that is I think Cooper Kupp and his wife and his family would love to stay in Southern California, and signing with the Chargers would allow him to do that. And they're a good football team. They are relevant. They could make a playoff run as opposed to going to, a lot of people throwing Jacksonville out there. I just don't think Cooper Kupp will see that in his cards. He wants to be relevant and wind down his career with a really good football team, a team that at least has a chance at getting to the playoffs and making some noise. And the San Diego Chargers, have I been saying San Diego? The Los Angeles Chargers are exactly that. So that's my answer, Kathy. Cooper Kupp will be with the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, in 2025. What else we got here? Fearsome question number 2. Who will be the Rams' backup quarterback? Now, I've heard the name Daniel Jones getting floated around, or, Kyle McCord, a rookie draft pick. I think it's going to be Jimmy G. And the reason I say that is I think his price will be a little bit lower than last year. I think Jimmy wants to be here. And the Rams are serious about making a Super Bowl run this year. They have everything it takes to get it done, at least to have a decent shot at it. They cannot waste it all away by having an inept backup quarterback. They need someone that can win a few games for them, even a playoff game or two. And Jimmy G is that guy. And, he's not, a great quarterback by any means, but he's good. He's won in this league. He knows how to win in this league, and he knows this offense, and he can be very proficient and productive in it. So I think Jimmy G is coming back. I'd be very surprised if he does not. Fearsome question number 3. What will be a surprise signing by the Rams this week? And I went through a bunch of guys that are available and positions of need. And, one guy that we haven't talked about that I think makes sense for the Rams is Poona Ford, the nose tackle for the San Diego Chargers. Undrafted rookie with the Seahawks, went over to the Bills, signed a 1-year deal with the Chargers, and he had a really good season. 39 tackles, 3 sacks, an interception, and 5 passes defended. And Pro Football Focus gave him an 85.1 overall grade. He's 5'11", 300 pounds. So he's not that beast nose tackle that you're looking for, perhaps, but he's a guy that can get low, disrupt the blocking in the run game, and make some noise. And that's kind of what they need. They may need a couple guys along the front there, but Poona Ford adding to that rotation with Tyler Davis. Bobby Brown, just don't have a good feeling about him coming back after his Instagram post. I think it was Instagram, might have been X, about complaining about snap counts, playing time, and the opportunity to shine in anything except rundowns with the Rams. So I have a feeling he's moving on. But Poona Ford would ease the pain a little bit, wouldn't he? And fearsome question number 4. What position will the Rams least likely draft this year? And aside from special teams, I could think they very well could draft a quarterback, and I think they will draft a running back. Offensive line, one or the other, interior or tackle. They could very well draft a tight end. They will draft a wide receiver. Along the defensive front, they'll probably draft somebody. I kind of agree with the guys on the YouTube channel. Late in the draft, the Rams could very well draft an edge rusher. They seem to do that a lot. Chris Garrett and guys like that. Linebacker, I think they will draft a linebacker if they don't, unless they bring in some impact players in free agency. Cornerback makes sense to me. Safety is the one position where I think they could bypass and hope that they can get an undrafted rookie in. They're pretty solid at that position, really. And I'm not discounting the possibility, but if I had to put one at the bottom, the least likely position, aside from special teams, that they would draft, I would have to say safety, and edge would be a close runner-up. And what does that mean? The Rams will draft a safety and an edge rusher. That's what's going to happen, right? And by the way, a couple player notes that I missed. Von Miller released by the Bills. Hey, bring him over again? Maybe. And what was the other one? Aaron Jones re-signs with the Vikings. He'll be back with the Vikings. So that's all I got. Hope you enjoyed that. And remember, we have a live stream mock draft Monday night, 6 p.m. Please join us. Help us make some picks. You can point fingers at us and laugh if you want, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Ian and I running a mock draft here, live streaming on the YouTube channel. Check it out here from Rams Up.